Let's talk about Caracara, man. Fuck, man. Is it safe to say that's the biggest song you've ever had, bro?
Yeah, of course.
Nah.
Yeah, it was.
How did that song come about? Because it's got a very...
Hold up.
Yeah?
Fuck me.
Yeah.
That's the biggest hip-hop song to date.
Nah.
SA hip-hop song to date.
Nah.
Yeah.
Tell me which song was bigger.
Karakata. That's not hip-hop.
I mean, you had Snow Bunnies going Karakata.
You know what I mean? So, I'd say, yeah. I mean, without tooting my own horn, that's the biggest song. That it changed my life. It changed a whole lot of people's lives. You know, people that are associated with me and that song and the movement. I think just the history that came with that record, you know, we saw the peak of SA hip-hop as a whole. Not only my career, bro, but peak of the culture, you know, and everything else that came that year was just like on fire. Whether you're talking like Doc Shibeleza, you're talking Congratulate, or all the other dope records that came out that year, you know, that's just how the game played out, you know, because folks were so much in the SA hip-hop bag, you know, and I think we haven't been in our SA hip-hop bag as much as we were that year.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
Yes, sir.
Facts, man. And like, I want to know how it came about, because it's got such a quite an influence, man. It's as if like you went away for a year, didn't listen to any radio, didn't listen to anything, and you're like, all right, cool. I'm going to zoom in and tunnel vision on this sound.
Yeah. I was preaching something before I even made that record. The guys that were like, you know, had like solo runs at the time, you know, the El Titos and the MacGs. I remember at the crib, I think it was early 2013, before I even made Mission Statement, I was telling the homies, I was like, yo, look at these Guaito niggas, look at these house niggas, and then look at us. I mean, Tear Gas was still doing pretty well, you know. I'm like, Shobawami, big fucking song.
Massive.
Right? But we were not doing the same numbers as the big Nazes and the DJ Cleos at the time.
Yes.
I'm like, how come are we not? We got, you know, the same notoriety, but like, how are we not, you know, garnering the same pool? And I figured it out. I'm like, I think we are not really tapping into what the average South African knows. We are still a foreign culture to the South African, to the average South African. Yeah, I mean, they can hear us rapping in vernacular and all that shit, but like the backdrop of the music that we're making is still very foreign. So, and I was telling it to the homies, and maybe it didn't sink in, but I was like, okay, cool. So instead of talking about it, maybe let me put it into action when I do my shit, right? I wrote the Caracara hook when I was on a plane. It was the end of 2013. I was on a plane to Durban. We were doing a Tear Gas show. I think it was like a Saturday morning. So we're flying down there, and I was listening to a what record was it? It had 2 Chainz on it, and it was produced by Mustard. One of T.I.'s artists, forgot his name, right? So he had that record that was going. So the DJ Mustard movement, you know, wasn't really fully in yet.
Yeah.
You know, but it was like slowly creeping in, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it was obviously at its peak 2014, 2015. So I'm listening to that record, I'm like, oh shit, this actually has a nice bounce, almost like a West Coast feel to it, almost like a Kwaito-ish bass line to it. How about if we did that in an SA way, right? So I wrote the hook, I wrote the Caracara hook over that record, right? And then this was December, and then in Jan, when I got back home after, you know, our festive runs as the group and bookings and all that shit, when I started like now focusing on building my album, kind of Republic One, I said with Lunatic, I'm like, yo, we need a record that almost is like that Rack City. Yeah.
Rack City.
See the big record from the Mustard Movement at that time was Rack City by Tiger, bro.
Yeah.
Doom, doo, doom.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
So that gave me, it was reminiscent of like old school Kwaito elements. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I'm like, we need to take that energy and put it over like hip hop drums in this country, because I actually have a chorus that goes a little something like this, and then boom.
What is the chorus? Because I still don't know how the chorus goes.
You know? And actually, when I was listening to that song, this record I'm talking about, in my mind, because I was like, yo, so everything is being retro. Remember at the time, the big thing that was going on, you know, like gold chains, like the Jordans. So like everything from like the 90s was like those crazy haircuts and shit, like some Shabarangs type joints. Everything was just being retroed, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, what could I possibly retro from SA? And I thought about the car. You know, I'm like, yo, Caracara was like so part of our culture, like a Caravelle, right?
Yes, you're right.
So much it was part of our culture back in the day.
You were balling, bro.
Yeah, and then there was like there was a notorious Caravelle bus from back then, and it was owned by Trompies. It was called the Trompie bus.
Trompie bus.
You know what I mean? So I'm listening to this shit. I'm like, oh shit. When I'm making this record, I'm thinking, I feel like Trompies right now, right? Like as I'm writing this chorus. And then with that came, what are some of the dope records that those niggas did? And that's how I, like, oh shit. Whatever. Yeah, so I'm like, let me tap into that, you know. So it was just like a nice pot of all those elements, you know, coming together and being translated and being repackaged in a new but yet authentic way.
And do you know how smart that is? You tap into the old market and the new. You bring them together.
Yeah. So a lot of the kids, when they heard that, they didn't even know
exactly
where this whole thing comes from. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Fuck, man, that's insane. And then Keaton does that now, you know, Bailey in the ATM area. Blah,
yeah,
blah, blah.
he's a god of that.
Oh my goodness, man. Which song do you wish was yours right now?
Right now? Like in the country?
Yeah.
Nah, not.
For real?
Nah.
You kidding, dog?
I promise you.
Not even that piano song. Kitchen.
Not to take anything away from them shits. Oh, but I would say though, I love what Maporisa and Cubs of the Small are doing.
Aglaleg.
The album, just insane.
Fire, dude.
Something so too pretty crazy right now, you know. But yeah, I mean, with all those records, it's just, they are just enough for me to draw inspiration from them, you know, but not for me to say I wish they were my songs. Yeah.
Biggest song of 2019? Hip hop song. Let's do hip hop song.
Bro, like, let's be real, bro. Let's be real. You know where I'm going.
Super duper.
Yeah. Let's be real.
I knew you'd say that. What happened with the Scanner Republic 2, man? Because it didn't receive as much love.
Yeah. So when I was, actually, this is something I picked up also earlier this year when I listened to that album for the first time in like months. And it actually allowed for me to shake off all the bullshit, right?
Yeah.
When I was listening to that album, when I was making that album, let me start there. Remember, it was shortly after the Cash Time thing, right? And my brand had just like been tainted on so many. Before I move on to actually SR2, I remember we did Bang Out, Nasty and AKA, and myself. It was a DJ Vigilante song. There was so much dislike for the KO brand that motherfuckers said I had a whack verse on that album, on that record. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, bro. And not because I'm a conceited dude, but like, let's be real, you know. I'm not saying I had the best verse or whatever, you know, but dude, you can't tell me that's a whack verse, period. You know what I mean? But anyway, with all that shit that was happening, you know, around, you know, the Cash Town politics, and then post that, you know, when I was working on my album, I had almost PTSD, so to speak, you know, where I'm just like, all right, cool, I'm making this album because I need to eat, and because there are so many external voices that are telling me how much I'm not worthy and all those kind of things, you know. So I mean, I'm proud of that album because I got to tap into a whole different side of me where I really got personal and gave people my personal story for the first time. And some people, I mean, just 2 days ago, Scoop tweeted something. He's like, yo, I'm actually listening to SR2 right now. I didn't check it out when it came out. This shit is fucking crazy. You know, he was talking about like some of the storytelling that I showcased on there with Getaway episode and all that stuff, you know. But like, you know, to me, when I look back in hindsight, I'm like, all right, shit. So mentally, as much as maybe I might have put together, you know, a solid body of work, the energy was just not right. Your mindset was not right. And when people receive, it's like when you watch a movie, and as much as the lead actor, or if any one of the cast members, when you watch their performance, whatever is going on in their personal lives, they cannot shake off. Right? It's there. It's with them 24 hours. You know. So as much as you might put a great story in front of them and give them multiple takes, you know, for a particular scene, you will always, whatever's going on in their personal lives, you will always reciprocate it, even years later. They're like, oh shit, homie was not really in the right place, you know, headspace when he was doing this. So I feel like now that I'm like removed from the album, I can actually pick up and, oh shit, I never really always sounded like that. I mean, that's a nice line, that's a nice verse, nice beat, but the cadence, the way that I was saying shit was not as welcoming and as colorful as I had always sounded, you know? So that's why when people hear this new album, they quickly say, oh shit, this reminds me of that energy that like you gave us on SR1 and, you know, the entire Tear Gas catalog. You know what I'm saying? So when I heard it, I was like, all right, cool. That's how everything went wrong.
Sounds like you're in a dark place, bro.
Yeah, I was in a dark place as a result of all the bullshit that was like just being like all the dots that were being thrown at me and stuff like that. But when I made Super Duper late last year, I made a conscious decision that like, all right, so fuck it, you know. I mean, I know Caesar had a lot of opinions about SR1 when I was still making, because there was two versions of SR2, sorry. There was one version that I made, and I played it for Caesar and VG, and they just like completely trashed it, right? And I was confused. I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
So the version that you heard, the version that came out was post their opinions, right? So now I'm working on the shit like with the idea and with the objective of trying to impress them and all, because I'm thinking now, fuck, people don't fuck with me because maybe now, like for the first time in my career, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, you know? So when I made Super Duper, I just killed all the noise. I was like,
fuck it.
I don't care, bro. Like I'm that nigga. Like I went back to trusting myself without seeking approval from anyone, right? And that record came out the way that it did, and I told Sony, I was like, yo, top of the year 2019, this is a song that I want to come out with. And I was like, we're not sure. I'm like, bro, believe me. I mean, this is not about whether this song is gonna go out and do wonders or not, but the universe is telling me this is the one I need to push the button on, you know, and just sit back and watch, give it headroom and see how it goes. And I remember it was just like 2 days before it came out, and I told Caesar, I'm like, yo, this is the song I want to go out with. And he took time to get back to me about it, you know. So I'm thinking, shit, he doesn't like this one again. Right? And then boom, just before, like the day before, he calls me. He's like, yo, I'm coming to the crib. And then it comes out. I'm like, oh, fuck, this thing is coming to shit on me again. And he just walks in and like, yo, you killing this shit right now. I'm like, oh shit, that's crazy. So I knew we were about to go.